So I'm going to teach you several things. So like I taught you last week about how to get your data into Power BI. So I will click on text. So I'm going to make use of this data, messy data. That is what I'm going to make use of. So you now click on transform data. So you know that last week, we just loaded the data straight. I didn't click on transform data. So if you want to clean the data in Power BI, you will need to click on transform data. Can you see my screen? Let me know in the chat box if you can see my screen so before I continue. All right. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, let's continue. So now we have our data here. Now, the first thing you will notice is that the title is down. And we have column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4, column 5. So how do I get my title up? So we call this template the Power Query Editor. So it's called the Power Query Editor in Power BI. Power Query Editor. We call it Power Query Editor in Power BI. So how do I get this my title up? So what I need to do is to click here. Then I will say that use first row as headers. So you can see that when I use first rows as headers, I have name, email, phone number, age, and address. I have all those things. I have it there. So again, now if you look at the data has some missing variables. So let's start with missing variables. And when you look at here, now there's something about data. When a data has missing variables, when you check, that's why when you check some YouTube videos, because some of the people teaching, they don't have experience and they don't have, maybe they are not working in a company. But since I've been working as a data person, I've never deleted any missing variable. But some YouTube videos will tell you that delete missing variables. You don't delete missing variables. So take note of that. So when you see this, you can see missing, this is missing. You can see this phone number is also missing. What you do, or what we usually do, is to contact the stakeholders that are involved, that there are missing variables. And when there are missing variables, you either go and check with the upstream, maybe the manual, maybe how you can input it manually, or they ask you to put it, okay, missing value. So now, for example, here, if I want to replace all my blanks with a missing value, so all I need to do is to right click and I say replace values. So it is because they are all blanks and I want to replace them with missing name. So those YouTube videos will say that delete all missing variables. No, you don't. In data analysis, when you are working in a company, how can you say you want to delete a company data? No, even though it is a messy data, it is incomplete. You need to find a way of filling in those missing variables. So at the moment, I want to put missing name there. So you will see that it's going to put it there for me now. Can you see? So this one was empty previously before. It has put it there for me as missing name. Now, I just gave that as an example. If you come to phone, you can see some missing variables as well in the phone. So all I need to do is to right click and click on replace value. I don't need to write anything on value to found because I just want to find the blanks. So let me say missing phone numbers. Missing phone numbers. Yeah, that's it. Missing phone numbers. Then when you now come to age, now when you come to age, you can also fill it in. And when you come to address, you can also fill in the missing variable. Now, it does not matter whether it is, let's assume, look at NA here. I could replace NA. You can see value to find, replace NA. Let's assume I want to replace it with 20. So it's going to replace all the NA for me with 20. You can see there is no NA there anymore. There's no NA there anymore. Now, another thing is you need to look out for is the data types. So you need to make the data types to be consistent. Now, something you need to look out for here is that all the transformation that I'm performing is showing up here, applied steps. You see promoted header, change type, replace value 1, replace value 2. So you can see that all the process that are entered there is being shown. Hello? Hello? Let's continue. Yeah. So now let's assume that I want to cancel one of the steps. Maybe the step that has this 20, I want to cancel it. So how do I go about that? So I will just cancel it like this. You will see that it will return back to NA. So you can see it returned back to NA. As you can see there. I hope everybody is still seeing my screen. No, the video should not break. Maybe it's your own. The video should not break. It shouldn't. Okay. All right. Let's continue. Yeah. So the video should not break because I'm using a Wi-Fi. So the video shouldn't break at all. Now, so I've taught you how to replace values. Now, let's assume that I've gone for now. Okay, before I do that, let's look at data types. Now, if you look at this, the data type here is, these are the different data type in Power BI. We have decimal, fixed decimal, whole number, percentage, date, time and zone, text. Now, of course, name is a text, so we leave it like that. So for email address, so let's also leave it as text. For phone numbers, we also leave it as text because we have already put it missing phone numbers there. However, for age, okay, because it is having NA, if everything is complete, it's supposed to be O number. If everything is complete, and that's why we are having this one as error, because we have NA there. That's why we are having it as error. But because there are missing numbers there, so let's leave it as text. Then address. I'm just teaching you how to locate data types also. That is what I'm teaching you, how to locate data types in Power BI. Now, let's now assume that you are told to split the names we want the first name and the last name separately. So this name now, you want the front name and the last name separately. So how do we go about that? So we make use of the column split column. So you can split by any of these, either by delimiter, by number of characters, by position, by lowercase to uppercase, by uppercase to lowercase, by digit to non-digit, by non-digit to digit. But I want to split the column by delimiter. What do I mean by delimiter? Is what is separating both. Now, when you take a close look at this name, what is separating the first name and the last name is a space. So I can split at the leftmost delimiter. I can split as the rightmost delimiter. What the word left and right is two opposite things. So what left means is that when there's a space on the left, it should split. And what right means is when there's a space on the right, it should split. But what each occurrence of the delimiter means is that at every occurrence of it, so if it appears 4 times, it should split. So let me click on OK now. Now you can see that it has splitted when you look at it. However, some people have third name, or there was a name here that is Mrs. So it splitted because it splitted into 3 because I said at every occurrence. Let me cancel this step now. So if you scroll down, I think there are others. Yes, this one has a 3 name. Charlene, Nelson, DDS. However, if I should say that, let me cancel this. If I should say that split, if I should say that split by the leftmost delimiter, it's just going to split into 2 columns. As you can see, it's just splitting into 2 columns. So I can change this to first name. I can rename this as first name and rename this as last name. So this is first name and last name. So I've also taught you how you can rename column. I've taught you how you can rename column if you want to rename a column. Let's continue. So let's test for the rightmost delimiter. You can see that how you can see the way I am deleting those steps because I don't need them anymore. Let me duplicate this column first because I want to use it to test something. Has it been duplicated? No, I'm not. I didn't say you should remove duplicates. Let me duplicate the column. So duplicate column. So you can see that it has duplicated it here. So it is from this duplicate. So let me now click on split by the rightmost delimiter. I've gone for an interview before and I was asked to split by the rightmost delimiter. I was asked to split the column in Power BI. So what I want to use this for is you can see that it only splitted into 2 columns as well, which is different for at every occurrence. So I can right click, I can remove the columns, I can remove a duplicate. Now, if there is a duplicate in a file, the only time that you delete something in a data, if you are working in a company, is when you want to remove duplicates. So you can just click on remove duplicates and it's going to remove duplicates for you. Just right click, it will remove duplicates for you. Right click again. If you want to remove, what's it called now? If you want to remove the column or you want to remove errors, you can click on remove errors. It will remove errors for you. You can see that what is here is also keeping tabs of all the steps that I've taken. Then remove column. It will remove the column for me. And that was why I kept this, because I wanted to test it on remove column, so that you will see that you can remove column. If you want to remove a row, you can remove a row. Here, you can remove the top row, remove the bottom row, remove the alternate row. You can remove the blank rows. But like I've told you, in a real setting, when you are working in a company, you will not delete any data. Even if there are missing variables, you can't delete data, because it's the company's data. You can't delete it. It's not possible. They don't delete data. But when you begin to watch some YouTube videos, they will tell you that, yeah, remove blank errors. On your own, if you are practicing, you can practice to delete. But if you are working in a company, don't ever go and delete the company data. Don't ever do that at all. Don't go and delete a company's data. Now, let's come to transpose. Yes, so I've taught you how to replace values. If you want to replace error, it's the same thing as well. Now, I can fill up everything here. So if I click on now, what the fill up does is, now because this is not the fill up is not going to work here, because I have the data type here is not an integer, it's already a text. So we only make use of fill up when we want to fill up cells. When we want to fill up cells. But now this will not fill up. The reason why it's not going to fill up is because it is not an integer. Another thing is, I have actually gone to an interview before, and what they did was they gave us a table like this in Power BI, and they said we should rearrange the column. And they said that you should ensure that you follow all the steps that is here. That is, leave your steps. So what they said, so for example, I can move age to the left. If I want age to start at the beginning here, so I can move it to the beginning. I can move it to the end. That is what this one means, moving. So if they don't see that you use the step of reordered columns, obviously you have failed. So what they did was in that interview, they wanted to know those people that can actually use Power BI very well and can use it to transform, data. And so that's why they said, they gave us several columns in that data, and they said, okay, they want this column to start from, that this is how it should be ordered. So when you see something like that, all you need to do, let's assume I want to move address now to the end. You can see address has moved to the end, and it has showed here under these steps that I made use of reordered column. And that was what I made use of, reordered column. Now I've taught you to rename. I've taught you how to rename. You can rename here. I have taught you that. There's no problem with that. Unfortunately, the data I have here is not having dates. So it's not only name. You can also, let me also teach you how to split by, if you are not making use of a delimiter. So let's assume that we want to split by arts. If you look at it now, it has even written it for me. So I want the username to appear alone. So let me click on OK. You can see I have splitted by arts and it has appeared. I have splitted by hearts and it has splitted both the username and the email, the type of domain name of the email that I have. Let me see if we have any question before I continue. Yeah, I've done the right slip. I've done the right. Sir, I'm confused. The link you sent to download was the same I used to download, but it seems your interface is a different one. Now, when I started, I said that you will click on transform. That you are going to click on transform, and that is what we show the interface. So yes, I will drop you the fake data after the class so that you can practice. Immediately you load the data and you click on transform data, that this is the interface that is going to show you. So when I finish all my transformation, it will still come back to that interface. And that's why I can still click on close and apply, and it will come back to that. But at the moment, I'm still doing some transformation. I just want to check if there are questions. The Python class, don't worry, it will drop. It will drop this evening. How do we merge columns? Okay, I would touch that now. The basic meaning of Power Query. Yeah, Power Query editor is just used to transform data. It's used to clean data. It's also in Excel as well. It's just used to clean data. And there's nothing you can use to clean data in Power BI except you use the Power Query editor. I have dropped the fake data for Python. Go and check it out. I've dropped it on Telegram. It shows you are not conversant. I've dropped it. I dropped it this evening. I dropped it this evening before we start the class. I dropped it this evening. Okay, how do we merge? So there are two questions on how do we merge columns. So let's treat that. Okay, what I will do is that now let me split this. First of all, let me first of all duplicate this So I've duplicated it. Then let me now split this. Split column by delimiter. So the rightmost. Somebody said I should do the rightmost. So the rightmost delimiter. Now, how do we merge these columns together in Power BI? So to merge columns together now, the first thing is to go to the merge columns. So if we go to, is it in transform now or in, should be in transform, merge columns. So, okay. Where's the merge column? This is for queries. That's different. That's if you are dealing with a query. On pivots. No, detect, no. Merge columns. Okay, yes. Now, if you look at when you look at the add columns, let me first of all click it out. You will see that the merge column is not enabled. Can you see it? If I should click it, it's not enabled. And why is it not enabled? It's not enabled because I've not clicked on any column. If I should click on one column, it's not enabled as well. So what is it telling me? Create a new column based on the concatenation of the current selected column. So until I click on control, and so I can either use any of the separator to merge it. So of course, because they were by space before, that is, they were separated by space. So that's why I'm making use of a space. So let me change it back to names. Then now click on OK. So you can see that it has been merged together. Bradley Lester has been merged together. Now, if I want to make use of comma to merge them, so click on merge columns. So let me make use of comma to merge them. So you can see that it's having a comma here. It's having a comma here. So until you click on one or until you click on two or more columns, the merge columns is not going to appear. The merge is not going to be enabled, rather, because you can't merge one column alone. It has to be two columns at the very least. Yeah, I've answered how do we merge columns. Very good. So there are no more questions on that. Any question on? Yes, I click on the two columns. Now look at it. When I clicked on just one column, you can see that the merge column wasn't. The merge column, you can see that it wasn't enabled. So I need to click on another column and possibly click on. You can merge three columns together. It's not only one column. It's not only two columns. But before you can merge columns, you have to. So what I did was to press my my hand on control so that I could click on the second column so that it could be highlighted. So, and that is when merge columns can actually be felt. Yes, I did. I click on the two columns. How to replace variables for age. Variables for age is not difficult. I will go back to it. I'm coming. Yes, for unpivoting and pivoting data. Yes. Now, if we are now for unpivoting and pivoting data is only necessary in some data. For some data, it's not necessary. What you are pivoting is, if I'm pivoting it, I'm pivoting data now, is, for example, if I want to, let me delete all of this column because they are not needed. So if I say that I want to pivot this name now, what it will do is that it will change all this column. The rest of the column will come under the name that the column that I'm pivoting. If I want to make name to unpivot others, let me say the example of what I'm saying now. Now I've clicked on names, and let me now say that unpivot the columns. So now you can see here what I click on. You can either unpivot columns or unpivot other columns. Now, the reason why I will not teach it or I will not continue on it is because it is only used specifically when you need to actually draw a chart, and for that chart, it will not work if you don't make use of unpivot columns, if you don't unpivot other columns. So you need to click on one column or one or two columns that you want to unpivot with. So if I say unpivot other columns now, what it will do is that it will show me where all this Bradley Lester is and their values. That's what it is going to show me. You can see it will show me the names of Kelly Smith. You can see the email and everything. That is, so it will only keep the other column and show others as attributes and values. But majorly, what is being used for, let me cancel this now. Let me do another example that is much more, that will be much more easier. Let me not split the email again. So what is much more useful, it is much more useful for is if I want to, if I click on this now, on this three, let me delete this column. I don't know why it's there. Yeah. So let me click on this, and this. So if I say that unpivot other columns now, what it will do is that I will need to remove this because it's already duplicate. So what it will do for me is that it will show me those age of the rest of these names, their email, their phone number and address, and I can remove this. So what unpivot does is just to split the tables into attributes and values. If, for example, if I want to unpivot just two columns alone, let's assume that I want to unpivot just two columns alone, name, email, and phone number, and I want it to unpivot age and address for me. So if I click on unpivot other columns now, but you will not get it now. The reason why you will not understand it is because I am not drawing a chart for it. Because I'm not drawing a chart for it, you will not understand it. And that's why I didn't go into it today. But what I will do is that in the next 2 weeks, when we are about building a dashboard, I have different fake data sets that has on pivot a lot, that are on pivot and on pivot is there. So I will come back to this Power Query and now show you if that this chart will not work except we unpivot it. And that's the best way you will understand it. But with this data, you will not understand pivoting of columns and unpivoting of columns because this data is different. So you will not understand it. So don't worry, in the next 2 weeks, when we are building a report, building a dashboard, you will understand it better. But mostly it's just for attributes. I've told you, if not because somebody asked the question on it, you will not understand it. That's the truth. I've told you. But when we begin to build a report or dashboard, and I tell you that, okay, that's in 2 weeks' time now, and I tell you that, yes, look at this data now. I want to build a dashboard for it. I want to build a chart for this data. However, I'm finding it difficult because this is what the stakeholder wants. So if I don't unpivot these columns with it, then it's not going to work. That's the example we will do. We might even touch it next week, depending on time. So is it possible to run Python script on Power BI? Yes, it's possible. But that is advanced. It's possible to run Python scripts 100%. It's even possible to run an house script on Python, on Power BI rather. It has it. You can see it here now. The person that is saying no, run Python scripts is here now. Run house scripts, but it's more of advanced. It's more of advanced. Any other question? So don't worry about the pivot or unpivoting. This data will not explain it very well. This data won't explain it. But I think we might even do it next week. I will come up with that data. I have different data that can do it. I will come up with that data that I have. I will tell you that, yes, this is the chart I want. And you will see that it is impossible to draw that chart on our report, the report without first unpivoting it. Without first unpivoting that column, it will be impossible to do it. Any question? All right. So let me go over what we did today. How do we go over the model view on Power BI? Some people are like this. They just like to rush. Boom, boom, boom. We are still talking about Power Query Editor. It's next week that we explain the model view to you. Don't worry. I will explain the model view to you next week. We can't do everything all at once. It's not possible. I will explain the model view to you next week. So there's no problem with that. I plan that on explaining the model view to you next week. Can we get the data used? Yes, you can get the data that is used. I will send you the data. All right. So let me go over data cleaning in data cleaning in Power BI again. Let me go over what we just did. So when you look at here, when I started, I said I will replace a missing name. And I told you, so even if you go for an interview and they ask you that, I've gone for interviews before and they ask me that, how do you deal with missing variables? How do you deal with missing variables? And I answered very well. But I'm sure that if they ask some people that watch YouTube videos and they don't have data experience, they will say, yes, I will delete missing variables. If I'm your interviewer and your examiner, you have failed that interview, no matter, even if you score 100% in the exercise, you cannot pass because it shows that you don't have experience. So I've told you that you don't delete missing variables. The way to deal with missing variables is number one, you contact the stakeholder that are involved, that they are missing variables. Number two, you try to look for other data in the company that can support what you have done. And number three is when you have discussed with the stakeholder and there are no solutions, then they can tell you that, okay, you can replace them with a variable, and you can replace them with it. And so that's why I taught you just right click and replace value. Anything that is here, right click to replace the value with it. And it's also here, replace value. So, and I also taught you how you can rename. I taught you how you can put, when I send the data to you, naturally, the data, the name, email, and phone number is going to appear down here. So you can take it up by clicking on use first row as header, and it will go up there. Also, I taught you how to split data. So you can split this into first name and the last name. You can split by delimiter. And I also taught you how to split. You can split these two. And I taught you how to remove duplicates and how to delete and how to also duplicate a column as well. Remove duplicates and also how to duplicate columns as well. Then again, I also taught you how to merge columns. And I said that if you don't click on two columns at a time, you will not be able to merge the columns together. So that is how to merge columns. Now, it happens very well, even in address, that you might want to split the first line of address. For people that are UK, that you are hearing me, you will understand by first line of address and postcode. So for example, now in this address, I might want to split the first line of address and split it with the postcode. All I need to do is to separate the delimiter that is separating this address is a comma. So all I need to do is to separate it by a comma. And that is going to give me the postcode of this address separately. And like I've told you, it's a fake data. So don't read too much meaning to it at all. So because somebody might ask, okay, why do they need to split data? So when you have a whole address together, for example, now, if this address, you want to separate states, you want to separate the state, you want to separate the city. I'm teaching you from experience. You want to separate the city from the main address. So that's how you make use of the splitting of columns. And it's going to do it for you. So when I give you this data, those are the things I expect you to do. That you separate the postcode, separate the city by yourself. Can we get the data used? Yes. What happens after the free sessions? Yes, after the free session, you're expected to practice on your own. Can the video be dropped before 10 p.m., maybe 9 p.m.? I will look into it, but it also depends on my schedule. There's no professional way. There's no professional way. It depends on your company. How can you then analyze data when variables are missing? If variables are missing, you don't delete it. However, when you are analyzing the data, you can filter them out. When you are analyzing the data, you can filter the missing variable out, but you don't delete it from the data. And most of the time in a company data, the data that might be missing, maybe just 1%. So it's kind of minute. But you don't delete that data, you filter them. If I close this now, let me close what I've done now. So let me close and apply. Now it has loaded it for me. So what I mean by filtering out the missing data is when you drop a data. So when you drop a data here, when you drop, okay, let's assume that I drop the charts and I drop one data here. In the filtering here, I will just filter out the missing variable. So here now, here I can filter out those that were missing. Like this NA, I can filter them out. That's what I mean by filtering. And that's how you analyze missing variable. I can filter them out because missing variables should actually not appear. But you don't delete them. It's a company data. You don't delete them. That's what I mean by filtering. Okay, that's good. So with that, we come to the end of the class. Like I said, it's getting more interesting, and next week is likely, let me say 90% going to be YouTube live. And I will communicate that with us by next week. So thank you so much for joining, and I will see you next week. Thank you.